I just read chapter 4 to you without turning the camera on, so let's start this over. We are reading The Eternal Ones by Kirsten Miller. I think it's backwards when you look at it, but you get the idea. Chapter 4. Haven dropped the stack of celebrity magazines on the coffee table. Bo picked one off the top of the pile and began to thumb through it. You mean to say your mother keeps treasure like this hidden under her bed and you've never bothered to plunder it? He asked. And risk Imogene's wrath? Haven scoffed. She says those magazines are Satan's newsletters. Even my mom won't read them in front of her. If Imogene caught me with a copy of National Enquirer, none of us would ever hear the end of it. Well, Miss Moore, you have no idea what you've been missing. Here we go. Bo turned his magazine around to face Haven. Let's see if this does the trick. Is this really necessary? Haven groaned, refusing to let her eyes drop toward the page. As much pleasure as the visions could bring her, it wasn't worth the embarrassment of fainting for an audience. We're trying to make a diagnosis here, Bo intoned with mock seriousness. Either you have hormone poisoning or you're hopelessly insane. Don't you want to know which it is? You know what Imogene's going to say about it. As much as Haven hated to bring up her grandmother's theory about the vision, she couldn't afford to avoid it forever. Bo wouldn't entertain the suggestion. I've already diagnosed your grandmother. I'm afraid she's got a terminal case of evil old bitch disease. Now look at the damn picture. He shook the magazine at her. I love Bo. He's so funny. Haven leaned in to study the photo. Ian Morrow had the sort of face that is usually discovered sculpted in marble, staring back at explorers from ancient ruins or shipwrecks. Straight nose, square jaw, wavy brown hair, and lips set in a permanent pout. It might have been a little too perfect if not for the green eyes that glared back at the photographer. Haven realized she had seen Ian Morrow before. His face was on all of the magazines at the supermarket that week. What do you think? Bo asked eagerly. He's gorgeous. When Haven looked up from the page, she caught sight of her own reflection in the mirror across the room. For a moment she had failed to recognize her face, with its pug nose, dark gray eyes, and smattering of freckles. She wasn't stunning, but she was pretty enough. An acquired taste, Bo liked to say, and there were already a few boys who had acquired it. Haven might have been pleased with her looks if it hadn't been for her curly black hair, which seemed to sprout in every direction. She sounds so cute. Okay, said Bo, rolling his eyes. Why don't we move beyond the obvious? You feel anything when you look at the picture? No, Haven admitted with a mixture of relief and disappointment. Not a thing. Really? Boy, you are a cold fish. That photo's got me feeling warm and fuzzy inside. All right then, let's see what I can tell you about Mr. Morrow. Just let me refresh my memory. Bo scanned the article, tracing the text with a work-calloused fingertip. He cleared his throat. Okay, says here his father was heir to some kind of toothpaste fortune. Ian got all of it when his dad died a little while ago. Nobody knows how much. His parents were separated. His mother lives in Italy. They don't get along. From what I can tell, Ian was a bit of a bad seed, got kicked out of a bunch of schools. You're getting all this from a gossip magazine? Haven felt as if she had parachuted right into a stranger's life. She already knew far more about Ian Morrow than she knew about anyone outside of Snow City. Yeah, it's terrible, isn't it? So hold on, this is where it starts to get weird. Remember a few months back when that musician disappeared? What musician? Haven asked. I just told you I don't read that gossip crap. Bo glanced up from his magazine, amused by Haven's self-righteousness. He was well acquainted with each of Haven's faults, and he knew that gossip would have been the least of them. It was in the newspaper, Haven. Don't be so judgmental. Anyway, this is the musician guy. His name was Jeremy Johns. He handed Haven a picture of a skinny kid with stringy brown hair and a lost expression. His forearm bore a tattoo that resembled a serpent consuming its own tail. He was a singer, supposed to be pretty good. He disappeared right after a concert in Los Angeles. That was a few months ago. No one's seen him since. What does that have to do with Ian Morrow? He was the last person spotted with Jeremy. So? So nothing, Bo said, but the thing is, Ian and Jeremy weren't all that friendly, and Ian's known to be something of a ladies' man. There were rumors that he and Jeremy had been fighting over the same girl. People started to wonder why they were seen together the night Jeremy disappeared. They think this Ian guy murdered Jeremy Johns? Nah, nobody really believes that. It's just a coincidence. But it makes a great story for the gossip columnists. Bo paused. Is any of this doing anything for you? Haven flipped past dozens of pictures, each showing Ian Morrow with a different girl. There was nothing familiar about the boy's beautiful face or his strange story, yet every time she recalled the way he smiled on TV, her heart seemed to stumble. "I don't know," she said. Beau opened his mouth as if to speak, but all that emerged was a weary sigh. As much as he tried to make light of it, both he and Haven knew just how dangerous the situation had become. Imogene Snively would be back from church soon, and she'd had plenty of time to draw her own conclusions. That is the end of chapter 4.